guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm back again with that Victorian album journal that we have been making. Now, so far, we've kind of done a lot of the internal pages and then we've made some of the blank pages. So I thought today I wanted to come along and do something on the cover. Because again, the cover, obviously, you know, the inside will form an inside cover, which technically will be another page, if you see what I mean. So then we can kind of just see whether we are on track page, you know, page number wise. So I've got this Amazon envelope packaging and I thought we would use this. Now, I'm just going to show you, it is a very tight, you know, match size wise. If you can see that, the size of the envelope is pretty much dead on, literally dead on with the size of the pages. So I cannot afford to muck this up. If I do, I'm going to have to kind of think about something else completely. So I'm going to try and undo the envelope so that I can literally cut it as close to those you know, folded lines as I possibly can. Oops. Now, I'm never very good at, you know, deconstructing an envelope or anything, so this is where I say I'm going to have to be careful because it could very easily all go wrong, and then I will be left wondering what to use as my cover. I mean, I've possibly got some more of these envelopes, but who knows where they are. Okay, so yeah, okie dokie. So that's going to be my cover. Now, this is a ring bound journal. So obviously, you know, I don't need to keep it as a folding cover or anything like that. So all I'm going to do is cut it straight down here on this fold line. So that's why I wanted to, you know, take the envelope apart so that I could get in here and hopefully just get it straight along that fold. Now, as you can see, I did not make a very good job of that. So I'm just going to try and, oops, tidy that up slightly better. Like that. But I mean, this is just my base, you know, it's going to be covered up with other things. So I'm not going to get myself too stressed, you know, if it's not perfectly straight, it's not the end of the world if I'm truthful. So get those little frayed bits of card gone. And then across here, like that. Okay. And then I think, yeah, my next one is going to be along here. I mean, like I say, I'm just very tight for error margin here. Because my envelope is pretty much the size of those pages, I can't really afford to make, you know, a mistake. Certainly not a significant one. So, yeah, just need to be super, super careful. Right. Let me throw all of this in the bin. Okay. Yep. Throwing that away, and then this one, as you can see, is a bit more tatty. Again, that doesn't really worry me, you know, it's all going to be covered up anyway. So, and if it's not, then actually, you know, I think that's all going to just add to the pretty kind of charm of it anyway. So, you know, I'm really not going to kind of get too worried about what it's looking like. So there we go, we've cleaned that up. Okay, so we've got one that we're going to use as the front and one as the back. Let me just leave these bits to one side. They're bits that I'm going to use for, you know, potential ephemera kind of pieces. Okay, so what I'd like to do, I think, is cover some of this up. Now, I've brought along some of my damask pages again because we've used a lot of these in the journal. So I think it's quite nice to actually, you know, go with that continuity and use them on the cover as well. Now, whether these will be the inside or the outside is the question. I'm actually thinking maybe I will go with book page on the outside. So perhaps I will cover the inside more with these. So let's get these glued down. Now, the other thing is, obviously, I did talk about, you know, I wasn't sure what to use for the cover, but I wanted something kind of solid-ish. You know, a hardback kind of cover. This is not as hardback as I was talking. I was really talking a sort of book cover, you know, hardback book cover. But it was just that this happened to be under my desk and it caught my eye. And I just thought, oh, actually, I'm just going to try it. And when it was then perfect size, I thought, well, actually, maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's a sign that this is the one I should be using. This is the piece. So yeah, but this was not at all what I was meaning at first when I said, oh, it needs something quite hard backed. I really had meant, you know, a hardback book cover. So this is kind of thinner really than I was meaning. So hopefully by kind of gluing on some extra pieces, we're going to kind of stiffen this up a bit. So that's that one. Oh, excuse me. Just pop that to one side. And then we'll do this one. Okay, so again, just pop my glue all around. Obviously, you do want a lot of glue because you want it to be, you know, stuck down properly. You don't want it peeling off. Okay. Right. Love this colour green. It's just my type of colour. Absolutely love it. Okay, push this down. Okay. Turn that over. Okey-dokey. Oops, I don't think I've made a very good job of putting this down straight, but never mind. I'm not going to get too stressed about that. It will be fine, I'm sure. So, yeah, spread it down from this side as well. Okay, so I'm going to take the first one because that's, you know, hopefully a bit more stuck down. I mean, obviously it is still wet, but yeah, it's just a little bit more stuck down than that one. So cut my piece in line with obviously that envelope. Okie dokie, and yeah, this one. So the green is going to be the inside of the covers. It's not going to be the outside. So on the outside, I'm not actually too sure yet what I'm going to do. I'm thinking maybe some book page. Yeah, maybe book page, maybe covered with some lace. And funny enough, when I glanced and, you know, spotted the envelope, I also spotted a vintage doily. So I've got that here. So I'm thinking maybe incorporate that somewhere. It actually looks quite white now. I've pulled it out, but under the desk it was looking quite, you know, quite yellowy. Right, so I'm just going to bring a couple of the pages in so I can just get a feel for what we were kind of doing. And then hopefully that's going to give me a little bit of guidance with, you know, what I want to do with my cover. So if this is the, yeah, if this is the front cover, let's say. So that's just one of those inside pages. Let's have a look at one of the Victorian album pages. So yeah, they are very yellow, aren't they? Must try and remember that. They are very, very yellow. I'm thinking I've got some, this is some of that net curtain of my nan's, which I've had for obviously yonks and yonks and yonks. But it's some that I have food coloured. So I'm kind of thinking actually, shall we use something like this as a kind of covering piece? What do we think? And then, you know, possibly incorporate a bit of doily or something. Do we think this goes? That's the question. Let's just see. I don't think it doesn't go. So yeah, I mean, whether or not it goes is, you know, debatable. But yeah, I don't think it doesn't go. So I think that would look okay. Right. So what I want to do first of all is cover up this, because obviously at the moment it just looks, you know, like an Amazon envelope. So I've got some vintage book page here. It is luckily a big enough book page to cover the whole envelope. So I don't have to kind of piece anything in or collage or anything like that. I can put the whole thing down. So it's just to kind of give a bit of a base to the lace, so that, you know, any gaps in that lace then have got something beneath them rather than just, you know, the brown packaging. I mean, not that I mind the brown packaging, because actually I love it, but you don't want anything like this showing, you know, the barcode or anything like that. So just kind of covering it to eliminate those things showing. So yeah. Okay, so let's just pop this down in here. Okay, just check I've got that on straight. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter because actually the lace is going to kind of cover this, but yeah, that being said, you know, I don't want it completely wonky and skewy, so okay. Okie dokie, squish that down. And I'll just turn that over, swap that glue up. Okay, and then we'll just do it from this side as well. Okay. Like that. Okay, straight down this edge. Okay, and down here. Okay, looking good. So, okay, right. Now what have I done with my scissors? Oh, there they are. So, yeah, just going to trim this down. So straight away, it's obviously feeling a little bit stiffer than it was. And obviously at the moment, it's still quite soggy from the glue. So, I mean, once it's dry, you know, hopefully this will be a little bit stiffer than obviously it was as the just original envelope, you know, cardboard envelope. So, okay. Yep. Okay, yep. Right, let's get rid of these bits. Now, turn this over. So, this lace, I'm just going to want to make sure I've got enough for kind of the front and the back if possible. So, right, I think what I have to do, it's on a kind of like, can you see that? It's on this curly edge. So I'm going to kind of separate it, I think, from that, and then it will be hopefully a bit easier to actually work with. Because at the moment, it's obviously wanting to, yeah, go round in that curvy shape. So if I do this, it will be then able to be laid flat, which just will be, you know, easier to actually see. So yeah, let's just cut that off. I'm going as close as I can, just so as I don't waste any, so that hopefully we will definitely have enough to do the front and the back. I mean, I know it looks like I've got a lot here, but you know, once you get gluing it down, there might be bits that actually are too narrow, you know, to use. So, you know, one wrong bit of cutting and actually quite easily you can suddenly think, well, actually I haven't got enough now. All because I did that shoddy cutting. And I've done things like that so many times. So, yeah, definitely easily done. And surprising how many times I still continue to make those same stupid mistakes. So, yeah, just trying to learn from those mistakes and not do that this time. Right, okay. So let's just spread that down there. Okay, having a bit of a look. I mean, as you can see, it's very tatty at that top bit, which is probably not great. Let's see how tatty it is on the other side. Oh, it's not so bad on the other side. So I can live with that because you're not going to see that, you know, on the front. So let's take our piece of green lace. Isn't this just a gorgeous colour? Like I say, this was just food colouring, but oh my goodness, it's lovely, isn't it? Absolutely lovely. There probably isn't, you know, a particular way that's better or not to cover this, but yeah, maybe like that actually, because this is a one of the smaller portions, if you see what I mean. So yeah, if I just use that like that. So I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac to put this lace down. So yeah, let's just go over here. And you know, probably really want quite a generous coating or covering of the Fabri-Tac. You know, because again, just like with that book page, you know, you just want it to be properly stuck down, don't you? So, okay. Okay, so lots and lots. I mean, obviously there are holes in this lace where you might be able to see the glue through. again, that doesn't really worry me too much. You know, it's not going to look really unsightly or anything like that. So I think it will be fine. You know, there's just not really kind of much you can do about that. It is what it is, you know. You're going to have little bits where you maybe will see a bit of glue, but it's not too bad. So yeah, stick that down like that. Now personally, again, I don't mind the lace overhanging. So as you can kind of see, I've got a lot of overhang. Obviously, you know, I don't necessarily mean I don't mind it overhanging to that extent, but what I'm saying is I don't necessarily want to cut this completely flush with the book. So I'm just going to go around the edge, like in quite a scrappy kind of way. So, you know, it is overhanging, but irregularly, if that makes sense. You know, not kind of really straight or anything like that. So obviously here you can see I've got obviously a big portion, so I'm just going to trim that down so it's, you know, a little bit better. But you know, what I don't want is it to look really uniform, because of course, you know, that's not the purpose of a homemade or handmade piece, is it? You know, you don't want it looking too uniform, because that's just boring. So just cut this down a bit. You know, just anywhere where it might be problematic, where it's overhanging too much, obviously then I'll trim that down. But otherwise, I think the overhang looks actually really good, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got that. Now, I have got some of the Victorian scrapbook pieces here. I don't necessarily say that we're going to use these, but they're a good starting point, aren't they? So, okay, so yeah, what I'm going to do, I think, is cut out this piece, because I quite like that, and I think that would look really nice on the cover. Now, these pages are still stuck together at the moment, so I'm just going to obviously take them apart, so they're not quite so thick. Oops. Oh, not made a good job of this. Sometimes they come apart easily and sometimes they don't. So, okay. Right. Okay. Good, you know, colour kind of combination, isn't it? So again, just going to cut this round. Now I'm going to kiss cut this. That's how I've kind of done everything that I've incorporated into this journal. So yep, just sticking with that same theme. So just kiss cutting around. Now I'm not the best kiss cutter, it's got to be said, and for anyone who doesn't know what kiss cutting is, my understanding is, you know, it's when you're leaving a little bit of white edging around your piece, or not white edging, but edging around your piece. You're not kind of close cutting, you're kind of leaving a space, if that makes sense. So let me just get that off, because it'll be a bit easier to cut now. So, you know, if you can see there, I've got a little bit of edge around my entire shape. I personally find you know, kiss cutting very difficult to do. I think because I'm very what's the word, like irregular with my depth of how much space is left. So, you know, some places it may be very close and some places it might be quite a lot of space, which, you know, I don't know really whether that matters, but I feel like it's a bit shoddy. So yeah, I'm not the best kiss cutter on the planet, you know, got to be said, but you know, it's okay. No one's going to be kind of coming up having a look. So loving that on that cover. That just looks absolutely gorgeous, doesn't it? Now, everything that I have used from the Victorian album so far, I have inked up. So again, just kind of, you know, keeping the thing going, the, you know, the flow going. I'm going to ink this up like that. Okay. Okay, looking good. Now, I'm thinking, because this is a Victorian album, I feel like it was a very traditional look to have things in the centre. That might not be right, you know, I might not be being accurate when I say that. It might be actually that things weren't centred at all, but I feel like things were centred. So yeah, I'm going to kind of keep it centred, I think. Now, I'm wondering what's going to be a good colour on this front. So and just have a look and see what papers I've got beside me. Oh, this is where I wish that I'd printed more of that damask paper. Oh, this is so annoying. This actually is the best colour. Unfortunately, I have coffee dyed this on the back, ready to use inside the album. And of course, I'm such a hoarder that now I don't want to actually use that, because I'm like, oh, well, I've coffee dyed the back of that. You know, didn't really take a great deal of time to coffee dye it. Why I'm making such a fuss about using it, I have no idea. Right, let's just see. Because also, I don't know what I'm going to be putting in this semicircle. I don't want to leave it empty, that's, you know, that's for sure. But I'm not sure what to put in there. So let me just bring in a couple of things. Well, that's a shame, isn't it? I mean, I'm not necessarily saying they would have been the right things anyway, but yeah, they were worth trying, weren't they? I feel like actually something like buff coloured would look quite good in there. Oh, do I have anything buff coloured other than actual envelopes? No, I don't think I do. So, right, this is a bit of an extravagant use of an envelope, but I'm just trying to save time having to hunt around looking for things. So I'm just going to bring this envelope in. I mean, this might not even look right anyway, but I'm kind of thinking, you know, I quite like that, I think. So I'm just going to check, or we could have the buff coloured envelope as the, you know, the back piece, and then this in the centre of the, no. Right. Oh, this is so annoying, why I've coffee dyed this piece and now I'm having to use it. Let me just double check that I haven't got any more. Honestly, I mean, how ridiculous that I'm so worried about using a piece because I've coffee dyed it. Oh. I'm just going to check, because I have got a sheet of this that's not been coffee dyed, so. And that's not too bad, to be fair. I mean, what's wrong with me? I've even got my coffee sat here. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But yeah, I'm still doing it. So hang on 2 seconds while I just pull in that other sheet. Oh, that's on copy paper. It's not on, yeah, it's not on thicker paper. So that's a bit of a shame, if I'm honest. Again, I mean, does that matter? Does it matter? That's the question. I don't mind this. So I'm going to just take this down for a minute. Like, yeah, about here, I think. Okay, right. Let's just take this down. Like I say, this is on copy paper thickness. It's not on, you know, thick paper at all. It's just normal copy paper thickness. Well, slightly thicker, like 102 it is. And I think copy paper is about 70 or 80. So, you know, it's not vastly thicker. It's definitely much more papery rather than card. Okay. So, yeah, I'm thinking we could have that like that. Right, now I'm going to just very quickly coffee splodge this. So, I mean, the irony, you know, didn't want to use that other piece because it was coffee dyed, but now I'm having to coffee dye this anyway. But I think what I was meaning was, you know, I didn't have any more of that printed, so I would have to print some and coffee dye it. Right, put that there. Now, do we want this? I mean, we could have something like that on the inside. Let's just bring that cover back. Hang on. Oh, I'm not sure. Let me just see. Could have kind of like, I mean, is this a bit drab? I was thinking this would look really nice, but yeah, maybe it's a little bit on the drab side. Yeah. Which actually is probably a bit of luck, because that was a bit of an extravagant waste of an envelope anyway. So, could have maybe some book page. I mean, I don't mind that, weirdly enough. Oh, this is the evolution of man, this book. So, yes, a little bit strange, but I mean, that's quite nice, isn't it? And what we could do is maybe put something in there. So let's glue this down. Okay, let's just glue it down like this, and then I'll kind of, you know, cut or tear that paper a bit more to size. So I'm doing this very, you know, back to fronty, or what I could do actually is now take that off, and then I've got the rough mark of where it needs to be. I could just cut that round. So yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. So like that. Like that. Okay, right, put this down. Right, got to try and now get it back where it was. Like that. Okay, looking good. Right. Let's just squish this down. Now this obviously, again, this is just flimsy book page, so I need to kind of be a little bit aware of that. I'm just going to mix this up. Oh, is that my little doggy coming in the room? Hello, gorgeous. No, she's not coming in. I've got the door pushed too because I've got my little heater on, so I want it to obviously warm up in here properly. Okay, yeah, really like how that looks. So yeah, really love that. I am thinking kind of like some other paper, so to kind of layer this up a little bit. So just have a quick look and see what paper I've got here to the side. I mean, I've got this, which obviously we've been using, you know, quite a bit of this, you know, green buildings paper. So we could incorporate that. Just have a look to see if I've got any more of it. Because obviously this is a bit weird where then I've got the... Oh! Right. What if we have this section here? I mean, I do quite like how that looks. Let me just take this down. So I'm just going to fold it to about here. I don't know whether this is going to have enough flowers on it, if you see what I mean. Because I loved the look of those flowers. They looked really, really pretty, didn't they? I don't know whether this will be enough. But let's have a look and see. So I have to take that and then move that down. Okay, to about here. Move that over and up. Yeah, and then probably about here. Okay, so yep. Cut that down, or tear that down. Okay. Might have to keep this because yeah, we might be able to use that somewhere. Now, don't know, because this is that photo quality paper which sometimes goes quite yellowy when it's coffee dyed, so I'm not sure whether I actually want to coffee dye that. Well, that's not too bad actually today. So I have watered that coffee mixture down quite a lot, so hopefully it's really not kind of as strong as it could be. So yeah, that might be why it's not going so yellowy. I'll just quickly go around there. Again, just dab it up with the dried wipe. You know, that kind of lessens the strength of it anyway. Wipe my desk a little bit. Okay, so we're just making a little topper here. That's all we're doing, is kind of placing a little topper down. So love how that looks. That's so pretty, isn't it? And then I think what I'm going to do is just rough up the edges of this. Now, obviously I need to be careful because this is very soggy now, you know, because I've only just that second coffee dyed it. So it's not the ideal time to be doing this, if I'm truthful, but should have done this first. Although, to be honest, then I think when I made it soggy, it would have then lost that rough edge. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, and we could even kind of like, you know, push it in a bit and things to make it a bit more, you know, a bit more scrumply and rough in a couple of places. So yeah, like that. Okay, and then at the top line. Okay, so that looks good, doesn't it? So I think what I'll do is probably take this to the sewing machine and actually stitch it on at the sewing machine, and then we're going to obviously glue this down. So I won't be stitching around this because this is quite thick. It may well be that it would stitch fine, but I'm wondering if the sewing machine wouldn't really like it too much. So I'm just going to glue this down like that. Not going too close to, you know, where I've kind of bent those edges up, because I want them to stay bent up. So as we've got a bit of a, you know, kind of crinkly thing going on. So yeah, like that. Okay. So again, just squish this down. Right, so I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and just quickly stitch around the edge, just with a straight stitch right down the edge. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'm back from the sewing machine. So looks really, really pretty, doesn't it? So all I'm going to do now is just go around the back page and rough that up as well, just because obviously I've done it with the front layer, and yeah, I just love that look. So I'm just going to kind of go around there again. Yeah, it's pretty soggy in places, so I have just torn it. That doesn't worry me. It all looks good, you know, and actually I sometimes think, you know, the more rough and scrappy it looks, actually the better. You know, who wants it flat? That just looks, you know, rubbish is my opinion. But yeah, obviously we all like our own different sort of things, don't we? So yeah, I think that looks, you know, a bit boring, but you know, it depends on the project. Sometimes it might look okay, and you know, this I just feel like I'd prefer to go with a bit more of a, you know, dimensional kind of look, which, you know, you just don't get if you leave that flat. So yeah, I think this is, you know, adding dimension, which all adds interest. So yeah, loving how that looks. Right, obviously this is my little Victorian piece, so we're going to have this on here. Now I just want to check. Yeah. Okay, now we said about putting it in the center. Again, you know, don't have to have it in the center, but you know, it maybe looks good in the center, although I quite like it on the side as well. But yeah, it's going to go on that page somewhere. Now I also have got some lovely beautiful appliques here. Now these were gifted to me in a Happy Mail. Yes, I have been hoarding them for the longest time, but I think these would look really pretty. So I'm not necessarily, again, saying all of them. You know, these were all a collection in this lovely pot. But I think definitely some of these would look good on here. So, you know, just, yeah, they're going to look really pretty. And again, hopefully very, very Victorian, which is, you know, of course, the look that we're trying to achieve. I've got this doily, which I talked about using. I'm not even sure that I'm going to manage to use it now. You know, possibly a little bit kind of hanging out here at the corner. I'm not sure. Shall I just cut into it and see? Again, you know, sometimes cutting in for the first time, that's the kind of like, ooh, I don't want to cut into it. And then once you have it, becomes easier to use. So I've cut that down now. I'm just going to ink this up. It is vintage doily, but, you know, again, like all these things, they're not necessarily discoloured just because they're vintage, you know. Or not necessarily discoloured to the extent that you would like them to be. So, okie dokie. Right. Bring this back. Now, I'm wondering if up here we could do a little, well, I was going to say a punchy hole, you know, punch a hole up there and do some ribbon. I'm actually thinking, to be honest, do we even need to punch the hole? We could just do some ribbon up there. You know, like that. Because again, to me, things like this look very Victorian, don't they? When they're kind of, you know, got the bows and things like that. I mean, I don't know whether that is actually Victorian or not. It might just be my weird, you know, impression of what Victorian looked like. But I feel like that's a kind of Victorian type look. So, yeah, I mean, I quite like how that's coming together, I think. Now, these appliques, obviously that would be very, very wasted down there, wouldn't it? See, now I'm going back to wanting to hoard them. There's two of these gorgeous roses. I mean, they are gorgeous, aren't they? Are they the same? Yep, they're the same size. Now I'm wondering even if I could cut that in half and have it as if it's poking out from there, or here, say, and then have another half poking out from somewhere else. again, I'm scared to actually do that because they're so lovely. I don't want to kind of ruin them, but I'm kind of thinking that might be a way to make them go further. So just inking it up a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking cut that in half and we could have half poking out this side and then the other half kind of round here. So, oh, wish me luck. Wish me luck, guys. Let's cut that down there. Oh, I hope this is going to be a good move. Yeah, like that. And then this half, you know, maybe coming out here or something. Yeah, it works better on that side, it's got to be said, but it's not bad on there. Not too bad. So like that. Now I don't know whether I want that butterfly on there or not. Yeah, well, I'm liking how that looks. Now just wondering whether instead of that green bow, whether we want to kind of tie that pink in somewhere. You know, this pretty colour here from these flowers. Oh, again, just got this. Just having a look around to see if I've got kind of anything, you know, that's sort of straight away jumping out at me, kind of saying, oh, obvious thing to use. And I've got these kind of applique bits, which are kind of quite nice. I really have been honestly hoarding all of this because it's so pretty, isn't it? And I still now can't really bring myself to actually use any of these things. I've got these ivory butterflies, which actually are probably better than that pink one if I'm truthful. So yeah. Oh no, that's a crochet flower. I was going to say, oh, there's another flower. It's different. So we've got these bits, which are obviously, you know, presumably from a crocheted piece. So, you know, like a doily or something. So yeah, that's quite nice, isn't it? Right, I'm going to ink up that butterfly. Just because it looks better, you know, coloured really, rather than being glaring white or ivory. Yeah, so I think that looks better. I do really like how that's looking. So I'm going to put this down. So yeah, we're going to commit to something on the page. And I know I talk about this all the time. I do find it easier once I've kind of committed to one thing. Everything else then can kind of work from that one thing. All the time that I've got so much freedom, you know, because nothing's attached, I then find it very hard to know where to start, I think. So let's pull in this across a little bit. You know, whereas once you've kind of committed to one thing, it's like, oh, well, I'm working from there now. So yeah, sometimes I just find that a bit easier, really. Okay. Yeah, I think that's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Right, I'm just going to stand up and look down on this. I mean, this is very, very different for me, you know, because this is quite, not colour clashy exactly, but I mean, it's not like, you know, a matchy kind of theme, is it? It's, yeah, it's quite eclectic. So, you know, it feels like a bit of a departure, really, from my usual kind of thing. Just see. I think something lacy down here would be really pretty. What that needs to be, I'm not sure. Maybe something like this. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is actually glue this portion down. So I'm going to glue this with the Fabri-Tac. Okay. And again, you know, you just want to be quite generous because you want to make sure it's glued down properly. And obviously it's got some lumps and bumps to, you know, to go over to actually get it to glue down. So, you know, you want to make sure you've got a lot of glue on there. Okie dokie. Oh, this is such a different project for me, honestly. I've said it continually through the whole kind of little series, I suppose, that we've been running. But yeah, this is kind of so far out of my comfort zone, really. You know, we've been very eclectic with the things that we've used. Nothing's been a kind of typical obvious choice, I think. Everything's been very, yeah, very not obvious in its, you know, in the selection, I think. So, yeah, I hope that you guys have kind of felt that way and sort of thought that we've pushed ourselves out of our boundaries, you know. Because that's fun to do, isn't it, sometimes? And sometimes, you know, you need to push yourself out of your boundaries a bit, don't you? Because it's easy to get stuck, you know, doing your typical, you know, staying in your safe zone. You know, so sometimes it's good to just push yourself out of that a bit. So just seeing whether we want to have any lace or anything behind here, just really to make it stand out a bit more, because I feel like, you know, it's possibly just blending in a bit too much to that background. So just seeing whether, you know, does it need anything there? You know, maybe it doesn't. Let me just bring in again that green lace that we used, obviously, to cover. Just going to cut a little tiny bit of this down from that sort of frilly type edge, you know, because we might want to have something like that on there. Let's just try this. Oh, I need to cut this off, really. At first I thought, oh, perhaps we could work with that, but no, it's not really working. It's working against us, not with us. Oh, that's not bad, actually. Maybe kind of like that. And then the butterfly, you know, because I just felt like it needed something to make it stand out a bit more. So going to glue this applique rose down. So again, just going in with my hot glue, and I'm just trying to keep it more or less where it needs to go. Like that, okay. And then this one, just going to again try and keep it more or less where it actually needs to be. Just because I feel like this is, you know, it requires a little bit of precision where everything needs to actually go. Otherwise I'm going to end up kind of gluing things down over the top of, say, like this or something like that. So yeah, I think it kind of needed a little bit of precision where it went. Okay, right, so that's all down there. And then, yep, our beautiful frame. So I'm just getting another glue stick. Okay. Yeah, loving this. I'm just going to go in here with a bit of hot glue, just on that corner. Maybe a little bit here. Just give it a helping hand to glue down, you know. It's just going to, yeah, help it stay glued. Okay. Right, I had lace hanging off of my arm there. Okay, right, so this then can go down here, which I think is really nice. And then we're going to have the butterfly, I think, here. Or maybe there. Well, we can play around with the butterfly in a moment, but yeah, we're definitely going to have this here. So, right, just going to hot glue this down. And again, just put the hot glue right the way across, you know, including across that book page. So down like that. Okay. Okie dokie. Right. Loving how this is looking, I must say. Oh, it looks really pretty. Yeah, I've just kind of looked through the camera, you know, to see how it's looking, because, you know, sometimes it looks different, doesn't it, when you look kind of down on something. It does look very pretty, I have to say. So it looks pretty here in the flesh, but it looks pretty looking down on it as well. So hopefully you guys think it's coming along really nicely too. Oh, that's quite nice. Okay, do I want to throw this away? I mean, it's just a little tiny scrap, but you know what it's like, it's quite hard to get rid of things, isn't it? So yeah, do I want to get rid of that, or can we use this anywhere is the question. Well, it's quite nice down there, funnily enough. Yeah, I quite like that down there. Just see if we want some kind of blingy stuff on here as well, or maybe not there. Yeah, I definitely love the butterfly there, and I love the butterfly with that flower. So I think those flowers were those lovely flowers gifted to me by the lovely created by Catherine. So yeah, thank you so much, Catherine. Okay, loving how that looks. How pretty is that? I mean, like I say, completely very different cover for me. Yeah, very, very different looking cover, but I am really loving it so far. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. Right, I've just got some of this pearly trim. Just see if I can have any of this anywhere. I mean, obviously I've got to punch the holes in here, you know, because it is obviously a ring bound journal. I mean, I quite like this, but I'm not sure whether it's quite right, because I feel like it would be a vulnerable thing, you know, like waiting to be knocked off, really. Yeah, I don't think it would stay stuck on very well. Quite nice there. Let me just take a little portion of this. So, oops. Okay. Oh, that's quite pretty, isn't it? So I'm going to just put this down here in the corner. So, you know, that way we're just using all of that little scrappy that we kind of cut off. So, yeah, it's always good to use everything, isn't it, if you can. And then here, I'm going to just put this down here like that. Okay, right. So, yeah, like that. Okay, so that's not too bad, is it? That's kind of managed to incorporate some of that pearly trim, but just kind of at the bottom. So hopefully it would kind of be okay there. And then the only other thing I think that I would quite like is probably a bow of some kind here, because I think that would look really lovely. I'm just having a quick look back through these appliques to see if there's any others that I would like. No, I don't think so at the moment. So let me just pop those away. Okay, right, let me bring in my bows. Okay, I've got some satin ones here. Kind of feeling like a satin one might be nice. Got some organza ones. Organzas are always my favourite, but they're not really the right colour, those. So let me just see if I've got any other colour organza ones that would be better. No, not really. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Got a lace one. Could try the lace one. Put that there. Hold on. It's quite pretty, isn't it? I mean, it is white, so definitely, you know, it's a bit of a departure, isn't it, from the yellowies, you know, yellowy colours, but it does look pretty. So yeah, let's just pop this down. And I'm putting it kind of more on top of the frame rather than in the centre of this background piece, if that makes sense. So yeah, again, not kind of where I'd intended at the beginning, but I think that looks pretty, doesn't it? We could have a book plate on there. Just see. Oh, I don't think I've got my coloured book plates here beside me. That's very annoying. Just see if I can see any anywhere. No, none of those. Oh, that's such a shame, because actually I think a coloured book plate would actually look really good there. No, I don't think I have. I've got some of my original book plates, but I think these are all big ones. Yeah, pretty much they're all big. Oh, that's so annoying, isn't it? You know, I say it all the time, but yeah, we've got all these things and never ever quite the right thing, do we? So just so typical. We could have that there. Actually, that's quite nice, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, ideally I would have had a smaller one and I would have actually put it in here, but you know, in the absence of that, I think that looks okay. So yeah, let's take that instead. So just going to hold this out of the way. Okay, and again, just being super lazy, hot gluing this down. Okay, like that. Okay. Oh my goodness, how pretty does that cover look? I really, really, really love it, I have to say. It's gone off completely different to how I expected. Not that I necessarily had any kind of plan or vision or anything else, but yeah, it's really not at all what I kind of would have expected, but I do really love it. Now I've just got this lilac flower. I know it's got no place really there, but just wanted to try it. You know, because actually sometimes, you know, you need something to kind of like take it out from itself and kind of change the look, don't you? Now, is that the right thing or not? I do like them. Now, I've got some more of these flowers, so I bought a bunch of these. I've had them before and really liked them, so yeah, I bought some more. So I'm just going to try a couple of different colour ones. So maybe the pale blue are better instead of that lilac. Because we have got then at least blue in the book plate, haven't we? So yeah, otherwise the lilac was a bit like, oh, what's she doing that for? It's got no lilac anywhere. Yeah, I think that's kind of a little bit better, isn't it? So the blue one, and then this blue one up here. Just put down up there. Oops. Don't know what's going on with that little Diamante in the centre of that. Can't actually see which way up it needs to go. I think that way. Okay, right. Yeah, those flowers, they're just kind of like a bit of a finishing touch, aren't they? It needed something else, and I think they're just, you know, just what it needed. So let's press that down like that. Oh my goodness, how gorgeous is that cover? I mean, such a different looking cover for me, but oh my goodness, really, really, really love it. So yeah, I hope that you guys like it. And if I just bring in a couple of the pages, I hope that this is going to kind of like be in keeping with the rest of the journal. So obviously I have kind of gone off at a bit of a departure, you know, but hopefully it's still going to kind of blend in. So let's just have a quick look just to make sure that we're not, you know, a million miles away from what's inside. I don't think we are. I think that looks pretty good. You know, I think it's going to blend really quite nicely. I haven't finished this page, but yeah, I think it's going to blend really nicely actually with the journal. So yeah, I really hope that you love the cover. I'm really chuffed with it, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much then. Bye.